Many candidates struggle with the IELTS speaking exam, and it's usually for the same reasons. In this video, I'm going to be talking about 5 important reasons why people fail the IELTS speaking exam. And you should stay tuned because the very last one is a common mistake that people make and it causes them to just flunk the exam. Let's get into this video. Hi there, I am Ogogo Ovolen and I'm an IELTS coach. I've been coaching candidates for the IELTS exam for the last 5 years. And during that time, most of the candidates that come to me are people who have written the exam before, they have failed it, and then they come to me because they need coaching to write it again. And I have noticed that people actually fail this exam for very silly reasons. And that's why I'm here. I decided to take my teaching public and teach people the tips and tricks that have helped my candidates pass their exams. Today we'll talk about the IELTS speaking. If you are out there and there has been so much information and you don't know exactly what to focus on to study for your exams, you should be on this channel. You should subscribe to it because I'll be giving you exactly the things that have helped my students pass their exams when they took them again. So let's get into this and talk about the 5 problems that people struggle with that makes them fail their IELTS speaking exams. First major issue you need to deal with if you really want to do well on your IELTS speaking is anxiety. Okay? A lot of candidates are very tense. They are stressed because they feel like I'm going to be speaking to someone else. I don't have time to think about the question, especially for the part 3. And they just close up. They can't say anything. Even the words that they already know, they forget. And they start stuttering, they're hesitating, they lose their fluency, and they fail the exam. So, what is the point of being anxious? Anxiety will only take away from your performance. So, do away with it. Listen to me, I'm going to tell you something. The IELTS exam, the IELTS speaking exam, is just a conversation. Repeat this to yourself. The IELTS speaking exam is just a conversation. It's just a conversation between 2 people. Okay? If you think of the exam as just a conversation, then you will not be tense. So just imagine that you went into a bar or you went to a party and you met a new friend, and then that new friend asks you, "Oh, where are you from?" And then you respond, "Tell me about your hometown." And then you respond, "Are there very big buildings in your hometown?" And you respond. Just the normal question that someone would ask you when they meet you for the first time. And then let's think of the part 2 like a story that you tell, an extended story you tell about an experience you had at some point in your life. And then we think of the part 3 as some deeper questions that this new friend you have made is asking you to know about your opinion about different things. So they ask you, do you think exercise is important? What do you think a healthy diet consists of? Okay, these are questions that anyone could ask you. But when you think about it that, oh my God, I'm in an exam, then you become tense. But if you tell yourself, I'm just going to walk into that room and I'm going to meet a friend and I'm going to answer the questions that this friend is asking me, then it will reduce your tension. So please remember this. Say it to yourself. It is just a conversation between friends. And if you are really struggling with confidence while speaking, you should check out this video here that I did, where I talk about how to speak fluently and confidently and speak like you know what you are saying. All right, let's go on to the very next thing. Another reason why people fail the IELTS speaking exam is because they use wrong grammar, because they make grammatical mistakes. Okay, the thing with grammatical mistakes is that they can sometimes change what you are saying. You may be intending to say one thing, but if the grammar is wrong, you could say something else. I had a student who did not know the difference between the present perfect and the past simple. So she said something like this: "My sister didn't wake up." She wanted to say, "My sister hasn't woken up," which is present simple, but then she said, "My sister didn't wake up." The first one means my sister is dead. My sister didn't wake up means my sister is dead. My sister hasn't woken up, on the other hand, means my sister is still sleeping. She may wake up at a future time. I don't know when. Okay, so you see the difference. So when you make these basic grammar mistakes, they sometimes change what you are saying or confuse whoever is listening to you because they just don't make sense in English. And why many non-native English speakers make this mistake is because most people did not learn English grammar. They do not learn English systematically in school. They learned English from videos or from listening to other people speak or from watching movies, which is good. But then when you do not learn English systematically, then you don't know the grammar rules. You assume the grammar rules are the same as your language, but they are not. Okay, so that's usually what happens. And in my experience, there are three areas that most candidates or most non native English speakers struggle with when it comes to grammar. The first is tenses. I just gave you an example. They don't know when to use the past tense, the present tense, future tense, and especially they do not know when to use the present perfect tense. This is a tense that a lot of people struggle with. The second area is subject verb agreement. Okay, when to use a plural verb with a plural subject, a singular verb with a singular subject. They have issues with this. And the third is sentence order. Okay, when do we put, where do we put the object, where do we put the time, where do we put the place, where do we put the verb in a sentence? So I would hear someone say something like this: I yesterday went to school. Okay, so yesterday should not be there. It should be at the end of the sentence. I went to school yesterday. But if you did not learn grammar, you may not know why this is wrong. And also because a lot of people translate from their native language to English. So if you're translating directly from your native language to English, it may be correct, the order may be correct in your native language, but because English has different grammar rules, it may not be correct, and you will lose marks for wrong grammar. Okay, so how do you correct this? The first thing you need to do is you need to find out what areas you struggle in. Okay, you need to know what grammatical areas do I struggle in. Is it my tenses? Is it my use of articles? Is it subject verb agreements? What are the areas I struggle in? Okay, once you find out those areas, then you need to learn about them. You actually need to do the work and learn the grammar. So you can do this by watching videos on YouTube. There's a lot of learning material on YouTube when it comes to grammar. Okay, so you can do that, or you can learn with AI. A very good prompt that you can put into AI to help you learn grammar is explain this grammar topic to me like a dummy. Okay, so maybe let's say subject verb agreement. You type into AI, explain the grammatical topic of subject verb agreement to me like a dummy. And AI will explain this whole concept to you in the simplest way possible. It will give you examples, it will make it as plain as possible until you get it. Okay, another way to learn grammar is to get a tutor. Okay, get a tutor who you can speak to, who will hear when you make grammar mistakes and correct you. Now, I'm specifying on a tutor and not a friend. A lot of people think they can get a friend that speaks English, maybe a native English speaker who is their friend, and they can practice speaking with this person, and this will help them improve their English grammar. No, it actually will not, because something that happens is that if someone is your friend, they usually do not correct you. Okay, if as long as they can understand you, as long as they understand what you are saying, they can kind of make sense out of it. They will let you they will let you continue speaking. However, a tutor will always correct you when you make a mistake. They will always point out your mistakes, and that is what you need if you are planning to pass the IELTS speaking exam. And if you are wondering where to get a tutor who can help you improve your English, who can guide you and correct your mistakes, details about this will be in the description box. Also, if you have been trying to improve your English and you are still not seeing results, you should check out this video here where I talk about why your English is not improving. All right, let's continue. Now, another reason why people do not get very good scores in the IELTS speaking exam is because they do not develop their answers. They give very short answers. Now, a short answer may work in the part one of the exam, but this will definitely not work in the part two, and especially not in the part three of the exam. When it comes to IELTS speaking, especially for the part three, you want to be able to fully develop whatever answer you give. You don't want to just list out your answers. You want to talk about each point. And here is a very good strategy that will help you develop your point. I call it the PES method. It's called present, extend, support. Can you say it after me? Present, extend, support. What does this mean? To present means to say what you think. Okay, this is what I think. You present your point. To extend is to explain why it happens or how it happens or to give some more detail about it. And then to support is to give an example to typify or explain this point. Okay, so you present your point, you explain why you have said so, or why it happens, or how it happens, sometimes even who it happens to, and then to support, you give an example. Let me give you a very typical example of this. Let's say you were asked a question that goes like this: what does a healthy diet consist of? Then you answer it like this: a healthy diet should consist of vegetables. Okay, so I have presented my point. A healthy diet should consist of vegetables. Now I go on to explain why I have said so and how these vegetables are helpful. And I say, this is because vegetables are packed with numerous minerals and vitamins that help to sustain your body, keep you healthy, and keep your metabolism going. Okay, so now I have explained why I have said this. Now, to give an example, I would say something like,
For instance, green vegetables like kale, broccoli, and spinach usually contain a very high level of vitamin C and iron, which help to build the body and restore it even if it faces diseases.
all right, so you can see I have presented my point. I have extended it by explaining why I said so. Then I have given an example that supports my point, or supports the thing that I said. Now, take note, especially for your part three, when it comes to giving examples, they have to be general examples or hypothetical examples. Okay? Do not give personal examples about your life. Do not say, oh, when I went to Greece last summer, or when I and my friend were walking down the beach. No. If you give any examples in your part three, they have to be general examples about somebody in the world or something happening in the world, like the Olympics, or like food shortage in a particular country. Those are things you can give as examples, or you can give hypothetical examples. So if it's about your life, then you can make it hypothetical. Okay? So let's move on to the very next thing. Now, another major problem when it comes to IELTS speaking for a lot of non-native English speakers is pronunciation. Pronunciation, not pronouncing words properly. Now, the IELTS does not require that you have an accent. However, what is important is that you are able to speak clearly in a way that you are communicating exactly what you mean. Okay, so if you do not pronounce your words clearly, if you're not speaking in a way that whoever is listening to you knows exactly what you are saying, then you are not communicating, and that will lead you to lose marks. All right, so if you notice that you are struggling with your pronunciation, what should you do? First thing you can do is you should listen to native English speakers. Okay, so you can find good native English speakers on podcasts, on TED Talks. Okay, so if you notice that you're struggling with pronouncing words properly, listen to native English speakers as they speak, listen to their intonation, listen to how they say words, and make sure that you are copying them. Okay? Another thing that you can do is as you prepare for your exam, you're going to be learning new words. Okay? As you learn those new words, make sure you don't just check the meaning and synonyms. Make sure you also check their pronunciation. So if you learn a new word, go on YouTube, type in that word, and for example, let's say you learn the word procrastination. Type in procrastination, pronunciation. Okay, you will see the pronunciation for procrastination in a YouTube video. You can play it, listen to it again and again as they say the word, repeat after them until you are very sure you know how to pronounce that word. You could also just type it into Google. It will bring out a definition that you can click on and the pronunciation will play. This way, as you are learning words, you're learning how they are said. Also, another thing you can do is get a tutor. Like I said earlier, not a friend, but a tutor. Because a friend may not correct you when you say a word wrongly, but a tutor will definitely pick up on wrong pronunciation. Okay. And a very important tip that I have for you: once you get into the IELTS exam, do not experiment. What does this mean? If you are not sure of the pronunciation of a word, don't say it. Okay? Don't experiment. Don't try to say, oh, I'm going to try out this new word I learned yesterday. I wonder how it's going to sound. Maybe it's going to go very well in this sentence. But you do not know the pronunciation. You are setting yourself up for failure. So if there's any word that you're not sure of how it's pronounced, don't say it. It's not worth the risk. Okay? Do not experiment. All right, let's go on to the very next one. Here we are at number 5, and I told you that number 5 is a very big mistake that a lot of candidates make. Number 5 is memorizing answers. A lot of candidates try to find out, oh, what are the popular questions that IELTS likes to ask in speaking part 1, speaking part 2, and speaking part 3. And then they try to find beautiful answers to these questions and they memorize them. And then on the exam day, they have their memorized answers and they're ready to go into the exam hall and give back all those answers to the examiner and have a wonderful score. Guess what happens to these candidates? They get into the exam hall and then they end up answering questions that are different from what the examiner has asked. This is because, let me give you a very good example. Let's say you have memorized the problems of pollution, and then you get into the exam hall and they ask you the causes of pollution. Now, for all you know, all you heard is pollution, and then you begin to answer the wrong thing. You begin to tell them about the problems of pollution. Meanwhile, they have asked you about the causes, okay? And you feel like, oh, I've given a very wonderful answer, when actually you have answered something very different from what you have been asked. So you would see this candidate, such a candidate will be very shocked when they get their results because they would feel like, I did so well. I spoke so fluently. I was able to answer all the questions. Guess what? You answered all the questions wrong, showing to the examiner that you did not comprehend what you were asked, meaning that you do not understand English. Okay? So avoid memorizing answers. Another problem that comes with memorizing answers is that once you memorize something, it doesn't flow freely. So then you sound like a robot. You're talking, but you're trying to recall everything you have memorized. So you're talking in a fragmented way. You are hesitating. Your fluency is terrible, and you still lose marks. Another problem that could come with memorizing answers is that once you forget a part of the answer, you are thrown off balance and you don't know what to do. You are stuck, your time is ticking, the examiner is looking at you, and you are in utter confusion. Trust me, you don't want this to be your case on the exam day. So don't memorize answers. Rather, try to make sure that you learn a strategy for answering each part of the IELTS speaking exam in such a way that no matter the question that you get, you will be ready to answer it. Also, if you want to know more about how to tackle the IELTS speaking part 1, make sure that you watch this video here. See you in the very next one.